Hey, what's up guys? So today, September 1st, is the day that the Radenso DS1 officially launches here in the United States. It retails for $3.99, and as of 9 a.m. Eastern or 6 Pacific, you're going to be able to go online and order it. Now, when the Detector was officially announced, I went ahead and posted my initial review video of the Detector. Since then, we've actually got a bunch more information that we've learned. There's been some additional testing that I've done, etc. And so in this video, I want to go over some of the most frequently asked questions about the DS1. I want to go over some additional long-range testing that I've done, a couple different Spectre tests. We're going to go over custom mounts that people have been designing, more things that we've learned from Radenso, etc. So in this video, let's learn a whole bunch more about the DS1. Now starting off, let's talk about long distance range. I've done some testing against 34/7, and in that test I found the DS1 did excellent. It beat out every other detector. Now that was honestly kind of surprising, and I know after that test a lot of people had questions, and I had questions too, are those test results, was that a fluke? How does it perform on other frequencies? How does it perform on other test courses? Like, is this something that's going to be consistent? Is it repeatable? There's still a lot of things that we want to know, and that was only one test on one course with one gun. And for that reason, I've actually since gone back out and done an additional test back at the Red Barn course, testing on 33.8, 34/7, and 35/5. Now, I've already posted the results on the forums, on my website, as well as on my social media accounts, and I wanted to go ahead and share them here as well. Now, starting off with 33.8, the DS1 did excellent. It managed to outperform every other detector on every single run. The 3 DS1 runs were the 3 longest 33.8 runs of the day. It was very impressive. Then moving on to 34/7, the gap started to close a little bit in this particular radar frequency. You'll notice that other detectors did manage to keep up here and start to close the gap, but overall the DS1 still did manage the win. Finally, moving on to 35/5, most detectors clustered right around the same location. Things were pretty terrain limited here. And this was true for the DS1 as well, with the exception of the very first run, where it managed a long distance alert just after the Red Barn. It was the only detector that was able to give the longest distance alert on this particular radar frequency. The DS1 also managed to do better than another one of Radenso's detectors, the Pro-M, which started to lag behind the competition, but it was actually K40's flagship detector, the Platinum 100, that managed the shortest distance alerts. It actually got constant owned here on 35/5. Then to summarize, if we look at the average for all the detectors for 33.8, 34/7, and 35/5, you'll notice that the DS1, it leads the pack in every single radar frequency. Sometimes it was a big difference, sometimes it was a small difference, but overall the DS1 did excellent here in the test. And that, I think, is the main takeaway here from this testing, is the fact that the DS1 so far looks to be a very strong performer. Honestly, kind of surprisingly so, and this is true for 33.8, 34/7, 35/5, and I'm seeing this pattern continue. Now, we definitely need to look at even more tests with more copies of the detector and different radar guns and different test courses, and also testing on K-band and a bunch of other stuff too, but so far, the DS1 is looking very promising. Now, speaking of more testing, I know a lot of you guys have asked about stealthiness and RDD immunity, and so I've actually gone out and done some Spectre testing here with the DS1. Now, I've posted the results already in the forums, and there's been a bunch of discussion, and I found that after the first test that I did, there was a lot of confusion about the DS1 stealthiness, especially how it compared to the Uniden R3, and so I went out and did a second test comparing the DS1 to different R3s head-to-head. Now, the TLDR of stealthiness in the DS1 is that it's not completely stealth, but it is mostly stealthy. It's right in the same ballpark as the Uniden R3, which a lot of people have been using for years just fine. Now, what I'm finding in testing is that if an officer is near you with the DS1, that doesn't mean that his Spectre is necessarily going to alert. However, when he drives past you, especially if he's doing it more slowly, his Spectre may go off briefly. Now, this is very different than most other detectors that can be picked up hundreds of feet away. With the DS1, if you do get an alert, it's going to be pretty minimal here in this situation. So not completely stealth, but very close. Now, honestly, the most concerning thing that I saw in testing was the fact that if an officer pulls up behind you, say at a red light, it is possible for his Spectre to notice that as well. And this was especially surprising because the DS1 does not have a rear-facing antenna. It doesn't have arrows, but it was still possible for the officer to pick up the DS1. Now, I'd never tested this specifically with the R3, and so that's what the second test was for. And so I went out with 2 R3s and the DS1 and my Spectre 3 to go and test the situation specifically. And again, overall, what I found is things here are very similar. It is possible if the officer gets super close to you behind you for his Spectre to alert to your DS1. But again, results would vary. Sometimes it was maybe 20 feet away, sometimes maybe 40 feet away, sometimes a little more or a little less. Results would vary a little bit. And I saw the exact same thing with the unit in R3 giving me almost the same alert distances. Now that said, I tested 2 different R3s and I noticed one was a little bit stealthier than the other. And this is what I've noticed testing with a variety of different unit detectors, is that there is some sample variation, and so some detectors are a little bit stealthier than the others. I've only tested with one DS1 so far, but so far it looks like it's just like the R3s, to where it's not completely stealth, but it is almost completely stealth. Now, based on previous testings, I've noticed that my Spectre 3 is more sensitive than the newer Spectre Elite. And Radenso recently posted test results testing with their Spectre Elite. They found that doing a similar test to what I did with a slow drive-by at 20 miles an hour, the Spectre was silent the entire time with the exception of just a little blip for a split second when the car was less than 5 feet away while driving by. So technically an alert, yes, but otherwise extremely minimal, a lot like a false alert that you'll get sometimes when running a Spectre. And so, yes, while there are certain situations to where an officer may actually be able to pick it up, in general, he's not going to be able to. And just because he's in the vicinity or even somewhere nearby running a Spectre, it doesn't mean that he's going to be able to pick up your DS1. And so that's kind of, I guess, I would say the TLDR, but that's now more discussion. That's what I've been seeing so far in testing, is that it's going to be right in line with the unit in R3. Next, I want to give you guys an update on the mount, the magnetic mount here that's available for the DS1. Now, in my review video, I talked all about the mount, and I mentioned how in my car there are some issues actually kind of mounting and unmounting the detector due to the design of my car. I've tested in 2 other cars, and I don't encounter that particular issue, and so in some cars there could potentially be an issue, including in mine. Now, if you take a closer look here at the top of the DS1, you'll see that it's got a standard 1/4-inch screw thread. And just after the detector was announced, John at Radenso actually posted the CAD files for the top of the detector as well as the magnetic mount. Those are now available on the forums, and so if you want, you can download those directly to your computer and start playing with them. Now, with that information, there was another RDF member, RW Smith 123, who started designing his own custom mount for the DS1. And he's gone ahead and 3D printed a bunch, including some prototypes in the final one, and he sent them to me, and this is actually really cool. Check this out. The idea is he's essentially built an adapter that allows you to use a more traditional, more compact mount if you like. You essentially take this adapter and you attach it to the top of the DS1 and screw it into place. And then you can use the double suction cup mount from a unit in R7 and attach your DS1 directly to that. It slides into place and locks into place, and then if you want to remove your detector, you can just push down on the tab and pop your detector off, and so you now have a quick release mount as well. Now, I tested this in my car, and it seems to actually work pretty nicely. It's a much more compact mount, and it seems to fit nicely in my car. Again, you can push the tab and you can pop the detector off, or you can slide it right back into place and lock it into position. And I really like the fact that this mount is more compact and it fits better in my car. Now, in my mind, probably one of the coolest things about this mount is the fact that it was built without RW Smith 123 even having a DS1 in the first place. Like, at the time that he created the mount, this detector is not even available yet. He literally just downloaded the CAD files online, built a mount based around it, tested it out, and sent it to me to be like, hey, does it work? Does it work well? What's it like? And I'm tested out, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. This whole thing is being built before the detector was even available, so it's kind of amazing the fact that people are able to start now building mounts for a detector like this and start using it. So I'm actually really excited to see all the different mounting options that are going to start to come out, a lot like we started seeing different apps that have been coming out based on OpenAPI. Well, I guess now we've got open mounting options available here for the detector as well. Now, if you'd like one of these adapters too, he's uploaded his CAD file to Thingiverse, and so you can then go and download the file and 3D print it, and so now you've got a copy of the adapter to use with your DS1 as well. Then you've got people extending this mount even further and putting some special spring-loaded pins into the mount. And the idea is, instead of plugging the power cable into your detector, you'll be able to plug the power cable into the mount. And then when you slide your detector onto the mount, well, you'll have a pass-through cable so that your detector can be powered directly from the mount, which means that you'll be able to mount and unmount your detector without having to worry about dealing with power cables anymore. Then you've got people suggesting, well, if you add some additional pins, you can also add some additional functionality for things like a remote mute button or remote alert LED. And so there's a lot of really cool stuff that's being developed here. And speaking of different mounting options, I know a lot of you guys have asked about blend mount compatibility. I asked blend mount about it, and they said that they are working on a blend mount compatible clip for the DS1 as well. Next, I guess talking about OpenAPI stuff, we actually have some more information about the upcoming app that Radenso is working on. Now, John at Radenso has posted some information on the forums, and he said that the app is going to be a simple app at launch. It's not available yet. And there are going to be restrictions on all the different features that they can do due to patent reasons, but it does look like they're going to have the ability to let you change settings in your DS1 from the app, and you're going to have the ability to update your detector from the app as well. Now, this is going to be a great feature. I know the V1 Gen 2 offers this, and I love being able to hop in the car and update my detector directly from my phone. And it looks like the same is going to be true here for the DS1. You're still going to have your computer update software for both Windows and for Mac, but honestly, I think the phone update process is going to be a lot smoother and a lot easier for people. The app, it's still under development. It's not available yet, but it's going to be available for both Android and for iOS. Next, I know a lot of you guys have asked about the blind spot filtering here with the DS1. You can think of the detector kind of like a unit in R7 with even better sensitivity and fewer K-notches, so don't expect magic here. The biggest sources of false alerts that I find are going to be from your Hondas and Acuras. There is a K-notch that's available in the detector to mute out 24.199 false alerts. And that feature is pretty helpful, though I also find a lot of false alerts around 24.160 or 168, and there's no K-notches available for these frequency ranges. So I would actually like to see some additional ones being built into the detector. Plus, to be honest, I would actually love to see better BSM filtering in general and not rely on these different K-notch Band-Aid type filters. And so to be perfectly honest, no, this is not going to be the quietest detector that's out there. It will false more than some other detectors. Now, in my experience, it's been okay, but your mileage may vary. And finally, talking about availability, again, today's the day that it's available here in the United States, September 1st. It goes on sale officially at 9 a.m. Eastern or 6 Pacific, and you can go directly to Radenso's website and order online. I'll link to it right in the video description for you. Additionally, you're also going to be able to purchase the detector online from Best Buy. It's not going to be available in store due to limited inventory, but you are going to be able at launch to order online. And again, here in the United States, and in general, there's going to be a very limited number due to the part shortages here for the DS1, and so that's something to be aware of here at launch. Now, as far as other countries, in Canada, it's also going to be coming a little bit later here in this month, in September, and you're going to be able to purchase it from Visions, or kmph.ca has pre-orders available for the DS1 as well. And then in Australia, again, it's going to be arriving early September sometime, and you're going to be able to order from Don't Get Caught. And for all these different websites and locations and stuff, I'll have links to everything down in the video description, as always. And so, yeah, that's just kind of some updated information as far as additional test results and information and apps and mounts and all this kind of stuff. Things that we've learned actually since my initial review video. So if you haven't watched that video, I'll link to that as well, or just click the button on screen and you can learn more about the DS1 in addition to everything that we've covered here in this video. So yeah, overall, it seems like a very promising detector, a lot of really cool features, great performance, obviously, and I mean, open API, auto lockouts, Bluetooth, all that kind of stuff. Like, it seems like there's a lot of really cool stuff that's going to be available here in the DS1. So if you want one, order one. If not, cool, whatever you like, but it seems like it's probably going to be probably the best detector in its class. So yeah, seems very promising. I'm sure after launch, after people start getting their detectors, we're going to be getting more testing and more feedback on performance and BSM filtering and auto lockouts and all the stuff. The app isn't available yet. Like, there's still a lot more that we want to learn, getting more people testing and driving and sharing their experiences. And so again, as we start to get more information, hop on the forums or follow me on social media, Radenso on social media, or of course just subscribe here on YouTube, and I'm going to keep doing videos with new information as there's new updates that are released, or app information, or more testing, or settings guides and tutorials teaching you how to set up and use your DS1. For all that kind of stuff, I'll continue to keep you guys posted here as always. So yeah, thanks again, hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you in the next video.